What if I told you that a single cut, made the right way, could turn one average mango tree into something that produces the most delicious fruit of your life, in half the time it would normally take? That's not a guess. That's exactly what grafting does. And the crazy part? You don't need years of experience to do it. You just need to know the secrets that most gardening channels never actually tell you. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel is where home growers learn what the pros actually do. Here's the proof. Growers who learn proper mango grafting go from waiting 7 to 10 years for fruit on a seedling tree to harvesting mangoes in as little as 2 to 3 years. Some even see fruit in the first year after grafting. Trees that were growing slowly suddenly take off. Varieties that seemed impossible to grow in certain climates start thriving. One simple skill changes everything. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to do it from start to finish. Now, here's the problem most mango lovers run into. You plant a mango seed. You water it. You take care of it. You wait, and wait some more. 2 years go by. 3 years. Maybe 4. And that little tree still hasn't given you a single mango. Or worse, maybe it finally does fruit, but the mangoes taste nothing like what you expected. Stringy, sour, bland. You did everything right, but the tree just didn't deliver. Sound familiar? This happens to almost every beginner who grows mango from seed. And it's not your fault. It's just the nature of how mango seeds work. Nobody explains this part clearly enough. Here's the real reason this happens, and it's simpler than you think. When you grow a mango from a seed, the tree doesn't grow up to be exactly like the parent. It's like a child. It shares some traits, but not all. So even if you plant a seed from the sweetest Alfonso mango in the world, the tree that grows from that seed might produce fruit that tastes completely different. Sometimes worse. Sometimes just different. Nature does that on purpose. It's how plants create variety. But for us as home growers, it's a problem. We want predictable, delicious, reliable fruit. Grafting solves this completely. When you graft, you're basically taking a small piece from a tree that already produces amazing fruit, a tree whose quality you already know, and you're attaching it to a strong, healthy root system. The root does all the heavy lifting underground. The graft piece brings the fruit quality you want. Together, they create a tree that grows fast and produces exactly the fruit you're expecting. That's the magic. It's not complicated biology. It's just smart gardening. And once you understand the basic idea, the steps actually make a lot of sense. Let's go through everything step by step, starting from the very beginning, so that even if you've never picked up a grafting knife before, you walk away from this video ready to try it yourself. The first thing you need to do is choose your rootstock. This is the base plant, the one already growing in your ground or pot that has a strong, established root system. Your rootstock doesn't need to produce great fruit. Its only job is to have healthy roots and strong growth. For mango grafting at home, a seedling that's between 4 months and 1 year old works best. The stem should be roughly the thickness of a pencil, not too thin like a thread, and not so thick that it becomes hard to work with. If you're growing from scratch, just plant a mango seed in good soil, water it regularly, and wait until it reaches that pencil thickness stage before you start grafting. The variety of the rootstock matters less than its health. Pick a seedling that's growing vigorously, has no yellowing leaves, no spots on the stem, and no signs of disease or pest damage. The second step is choosing your scion. This is the most exciting part, because the scion is what determines what kind of mango you'll harvest. A scion is just a small cutting taken from a mature mango tree that you know produces great fruit. If your neighbor has an incredible mango tree that drops fruit every summer, that's your scion source. If you've eaten a mango from a local farm that blew your mind, find out what variety it is and source a cutting from that same type of tree. The cutting you take should come from a branch that is mature, but not too old. Not soft new growth, and not ancient woody growth. What you're looking for is wood that is firm, slightly brownish on the outside, and has well-developed buds along it. Those buds are the future leaves and branches of your new tree. Cut a piece about 4 to 6 inches long, with at least 2 or 3 healthy buds on it. Remove all the leaves from the scion, leaving only the buds. This helps the cutting conserve energy while it's bonding with the rootstock. The third step is gathering your tools. You don't need a lot. You need a clean, sharp knife, a grafting knife if you have one, but honestly, a very sharp utility knife works fine. You need grafting tape, which you can find at most garden centers or order online for just a few dollars. Some growers use clear plastic strips or even electrical tape in a pinch, but grafting tape is ideal because it stretches and breathes. You also need a clean cloth or paper towel to wipe your blade between cuts. Keeping your knife clean is more important than most beginners realize, and we'll talk about why in the mistakes section. Step 4 is making your cuts. This is where the actual grafting happens, and I want to walk you through the most beginner-friendly technique, which is called the cleft graft. It's the easiest one to learn, and it works extremely well for mango. Start with your rootstock plant. Cut the stem cleanly across, a flat, horizontal cut, at about 6 to 8 inches above the soil line. Try to make this cut as smooth as possible. A rough cut creates an uneven surface that makes it harder for your graft to bond. After making that flat cut, take your knife and make a single vertical split straight down the center of the cut stem. Go about 1 inch deep. This creates a small opening, like a slot, right in the middle of your rootstock stem. You're not cutting it all the way through, just creating a gap for the scion to slide into. Now prepare your scion. Take your cutting and shave both sides of the bottom end into a thin wedge shape. Imagine you're sharpening a pencil with a knife, but only from 2 sides. The wedge should be smooth, angled, and about 1 inch long. Try to make both sides of the wedge as even as possible. The goal is for the scion's wedge to fit snugly into the slot you made in the rootstock. When you slide the scion wedge into the rootstock slot, you need to make sure that the outer edges of both pieces line up. There's a very thin layer of living tissue just under the bark called the cambium layer. It looks like a faint green or white line running just inside the bark. When the cambium layer of the scion lines up with the cambium layer of the rootstock, that's where the 2 pieces actually fuse together and become one plant. If these layers don't touch, the graft won't take. This is the single most important thing in grafting. Everything else is just set up for this one moment of alignment. Step 5 is wrapping your graft. Once your scion is sitting in place with the cambium layers aligned, you need to hold everything together while it heals. This is what the grafting tape is for. Start just below the graft union, the spot where the 2 pieces meet, and wind the tape upward in smooth, overlapping spirals. Keep the tension firm, but not so tight that you're crushing the stem. Cover the entire union area and go slightly above and below it. The tape holds everything in place, keeps moisture in, and protects the wound from bacteria and drying out. Once it's wrapped, leave it alone. Don't tug on it. Don't rewrap it. Just let it sit. Step 6 is aftercare, and this part is critical. Place your newly grafted plant somewhere that gets bright light, but not direct, harsh sun. Think of it like a person recovering from surgery. It needs rest, warmth, and gentleness. Keep the soil consistently moist, but not soaking wet. The roots need to stay active to feed the healing graft. In warm weather, you can expect to see your first signs of success in about 2 to 4 weeks. What you're watching for is new growth coming from the scion's buds. When you see those tiny new leaves starting to unfurl from the buds on your scion piece, that means the graft has taken. The 2 pieces have fused. The living tissue has connected. At that point, your graft is working. Step 7 is removing the tape. Once you clearly see new growth and the scion is actively pushing out leaves, you can start loosening the grafting tape. Don't just rip it off. Use your knife to gently score the tape and peel it back carefully. By this point, the union is usually strong enough to hold on its own, but you still want to be gentle. After the tape is off, give the plant a few more weeks in a protected spot before moving it to full sun. Step 8 is the transition to full growing conditions. Once your grafted tree has been growing actively for about 4 to 6 weeks post-graft, you can start treating it like a regular mango tree. Move it to full sun gradually. Start fertilizing with a balanced fertilizer. Let it grow freely. From this point on, the tree knows what to do. You've given it the best possible start, strong roots and proven genetics, and now it just needs time and care. Now, let's talk about the mistakes, because this is where most beginners lose their grafts, and it's almost always one of the same few problems. The biggest mistake is dirty tools. This sounds simple, but it causes more failed grafts than almost anything else. Your knife carries bacteria from everything it touches. If you cut a diseased branch and then use that same blade to make your graft cuts without cleaning it first, you're introducing disease directly into an open wound on your plant. Wipe your blade between every cut. Use rubbing alcohol or just wash it with soap and water and dry it completely. This tiny habit makes a huge difference. The second big mistake is cutting the scion from the wrong type of wood. If you take your scion from growth that's too young and soft, it doesn't have enough stored energy to survive the bonding process. It'll shrivel up and die before the graft can take. And if you cut from very old, woody growth, the cutting doesn't bond as easily. That firm, brownish, mature but not ancient wood is what you need. If you're unsure whether a branch is the right stage, scratch a tiny bit of the surface with your fingernail. If it's green underneath, it's too young. If it snaps like dry wood, it might be too old. You want something in between? Firm, slightly flexible, and greenish-brown, just under the surface. The third mistake is misaligning the cambium layers. This one is so common, and it's the one that actually determines success or failure more than any other factor. People rush through the cutting and insertion process, and the layers end up offset. Everything looks fine on the outside, but nothing is actually connecting on the inside. Take your time with this step. Look carefully. Make sure the thin inner edge of the scion lines up with the thin inner edge of the rootstock bark. Even if only one side aligns perfectly, that's enough to get a successful graft. Both sides aligning is ideal, but one side is workable. Zero alignment means zero graft. The fourth mistake is overwatering after grafting. Some beginners panic and water constantly because they think the plant looks stressed. But a freshly grafted plant can't handle wet, soggy roots. The rootstock's water uptake system is temporarily disconnected from the top part of the plant, and too much water can cause root rot before the graft even has a chance to take. Keep the soil moist. Think damp sponge, not swimming pool. The fifth mistake is giving up too early. A graft can look completely dead for 2 to 3 weeks and then suddenly push out fresh growth. The scion might look brown, dry, shriveled, and lifeless, and then one day you'll walk out to your garden and see a tiny green bud swelling up. This happens more often than you'd think. Don't pull the scion out and throw it away just because it looks rough. Give it the full 4 weeks before you decide it has failed. Patience is literally part of the process. The sixth mistake is grafting at the wrong time. Mango grafting works best when the plant is actively growing, when sap is flowing, temperatures are warm, and the tree is in a growth phase. Trying to graft in the coldest part of winter or in extreme heat both make it harder for the graft to take. Spring and early summer are ideal in most American climates. If you're in a warmer zone like Florida, Southern California, or Texas, your window is longer, but still aim for active growing periods. Now here's the bonus tip, and this is something most people never hear outside of professional orchards. It's called double budding. Most beginners graft one scion onto one rootstock and hope for the best. Professional growers often insert 2 scions on the same rootstock, one on each side of the cleft cut instead of just one in the center. Why? Because it dramatically increases the odds of success. If one scion fails to bond, the other often succeeds. And once you can see which one has taken, you simply remove the weaker one and let the successful graft continue growing. This costs you almost nothing extra, just one more scion cutting, but it nearly doubles your success rate as a beginner. Try this on your next graft and watch how much more confident you feel. Here's another pro tip that gets overlooked constantly. Humidity matters enormously in those first 2 to 3 weeks after grafting. Professional nurseries use misting chambers and humidity tents to keep fresh grafts from drying out. At home, you can recreate this with something as simple as a clear plastic bag. After you wrap your graft and set the plant in its recovery spot, loosely drape a clear plastic bag over the top of the plant, just the scion end, not the whole pot, and let it sit. The bag traps humidity around the fresh graft and scion, which dramatically reduces drying stress while the union is forming. Remove it once you see the first signs of active bud growth. This one trick, used by commercial nurseries around the world, can turn a 50% success rate into an 80 or 90% success rate at home. And one more thing the pros always do, they keep records. It sounds boring, but it works. Note the date you grafted, the variety you used as your scion, the rootstock type, the weather conditions, and the outcome. After a few attempts, patterns start to emerge. You'll notice which scion varieties take easily and which are trickier. You'll see which time of year gives you the best results in your specific climate. You'll realize which techniques worked and which didn't. This turns you from a person who tries grafting into a person who actually gets better at it over time. That's the difference between someone who gives up after 2 failed grafts and someone who eventually has a backyard full of incredible mango trees. Let's bring it all together. Mango grafting isn't a secret art reserved for experts with decades of experience. It's a learnable skill. It has clear steps. It has a logic to it that, once you understand it, makes total sense. You're combining a strong root system with proven, delicious genetics. You're skipping years of uncertainty. You're giving yourself control over what your tree will actually produce. And the only real difference between a beginner who fails at grafting and a beginner who succeeds is understanding the details, the cambium alignment, the clean cuts, the right wood, the humidity, the patience. You now know all of that. You know why grafting works. You know how to pick the right rootstock and scion. You know how to make the cleft graft cuts. You know how to wrap it properly and care for it during healing. You know the mistakes that kill grafts and how to avoid every single one of them. And you know the double budding trick and the humidity tent technique that professionals use to stack the odds in their favor. The only thing left to do is go try it. Start with one graft. Don't worry about doing it perfectly. Just follow the steps, pay attention to that cambium alignment, keep your tools clean, be patient, and give it 4 weeks before you draw any conclusions. Most people who try grafting for the first time are shocked by how manageable it actually is. And when you see that first tiny green bud pushing out of your scion, you'll feel something that's hard to put into words. It's the feeling of having made something grow, of having taken 2 separate pieces of a plant and turned them into one thriving tree. It's genuinely one of the most satisfying moments in home gardening. If this video helped you, drop a comment below and tell me where you're growing, what climate, what variety you're planning to graft. I read every single comment, and I love hearing what's happening in your garden. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new today, because it helps more home growers find this content. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because every week we cover exactly this kind of practical, no-fluff growing knowledge that actually makes a difference in your garden. Your best mango tree is ahead of you. Go graft it.